He worked night shifts, smiled at families, logged every dose. But behind the clipboard was a killer. For 16 years, Charles Cullen quietly poisoned patients in hospitals across New Jersey, and no one stopped him. Until one nurse wore a wire. This is the story of the man who may have murdered over 400 people. Bone Collector, the Charles Cullen case. If you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. He didn't break in. He was already inside. He didn't wear a mask. He didn't chase his victims. He walked into their rooms, checked their pulses, and took their lives with a syringe. The machines beep rhythmically. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Nurse Charles Cullen glides quietly through the hallway. His gait is slow, measured. He stops at room 403. Inside lies a 68-year-old man recovering from routine surgery. Vitals are stable, but Charles doesn't check the chart. He pulls out a pre-filled syringe. He injects it into the saline 4 bag, not directly into the patient. That way, the poison will drip slowly, masters hydration. Charles didn't kill for rage. He killed for quiet. He said they were suffering, but most weren't. Security footage shows Cullen returning to the nurse's station, expressionless. He writes in a logbook. No alarms go off. By morning, the man in room 403 is dead. A sudden heart arrhythmia. His family is told it was unexpected. They nod, cry, accept it, but is not the first. Not that week. Not even that night. 1987, Navy Barracks. A young Charles Cullen sits alone, sorting pills into a sock drawer. His roommate later reports him for strange behavior. His discharge quietly. The records are sealed. Before he ever became a nurse, Charles had already learned the most dangerous rule in institutional life. If you look busy and follow the rules, no one asks questions. St. Barnabas Medical Center, New Jersey, 1988. Cullen's first nursing job. A fresh diploma. A quiet demeanor. Polite. Focused. Reserved. He was the kind of employee HR dreams about. Until patients began dying. Their deaths weren't violent. They were unnoticed, which made them perfect. Room 228. An elderly woman post-heart surgery. Cullen adjusts her 4 bag. Nothing seems off. By 4:20 a.m., she's dead. Cause of death, unknown cardiac event. Over 3 months, the ICU logged a spike in fatal arrhythmias. 7 patients die, all with no history of heart failure, all under Cullen's care, all with 4 bags switched at the start of night shift. The pharmacy flags unusual digoxin levels, a heart medication that can be deadly in the wrong dose. Digoxin is clear. It's invisible in fluid. It slows the heart, then stops it. Cullen didn't need to attack. He needed access. Internal meeting, Street Barnabas boardroom. A supervisor clears his throat. There's suspicion, but no hard proof. No cameras in the room. Nothing prosecutable. What do? They let him resign, with a letter of recommendation. The hospital didn't want a scandal, so they handed him a syringe and passed the problem down the line. Warren Hospital, 1990. Charles Cullen walks into his second job. No flags. No warnings. The cycle restarts. Within weeks, patients begin coding. A 91-year-old woman tells her daughter, "The tall nurse, he came in last night. He told me to go to sleep forever." The next morning, she's dead. It's not just what he did. It's who let him keep doing it. Warren Hospital, New Jersey, 1993. 11 unexplained codes. 4 deaths in 6 weeks. One nurse notices Cullen spending time in patient rooms he's not assigned to. She reports it. The response? His just being helpful. The administration logs it as a personality conflict. Hospitals were designed to save lives, but they are also built to avoid lawsuits. And Charles Cullen understood that better than anyone. Cullen sits in the cafeteria, eating alone. A nurse walks past and whispers. They call him the Shadow. He looks up, eyes flat. He moves to Hunterdon Hospital, 1996. No background red flags. No disciplinary record. Nothing to warn them, because each facility buried the suspicion behind personnel privacy. What happens when a killer is protected by bureaucracy? He evolves. Cullen now switches methods. Instead of just digoxin, he experiments with insulin to induce fatal hypoglycemia, lidocaine to stop the heart, epinephrine, overdose to fry the nervous system. The deaths continue, but the tools change, making them harder to trace. One patient survives. A man wakes up and says, "I remember someone adjusting my fall. It wasn't my nurse. He said, 'This will help you rest.' Then I blacked out." No one follows up. Charles Cullen didn't need a scalpel, just indifference, and hospitals kept giving it to him. He kills again, and again, and again. A pharmacist notices odd patterns. Cullen wasting more meds than anyone else. He reports it. HR interviews Cullen once, then closes the case. If a killer whispered, they missed it. If he shouted, they told him to use his indoor voice. Somerset administrators debate action. We can't accuse without proof. We'll need to alert the state if we open a formal investigation. The press will smell it. They hesitate, but Lafferty doesn't. October 2003, Lafferty reports Cullen to the New Jersey Poison Control Center. Dr. Stephen Marcus takes the call. Within minutes, he knows, "You have a serial killer in your hospital, and you need to act now." The pattern was over a decade long, but this was the first time anyone documented it. Somerset contact police. Detectives start watching. They pull Cullen's medication access logs. 30-plus vials withdrawn. No patient assigned. High-risk drugs. Unused doses. It's invisible paperwork soaked in blood. A detective flips through the report. Jesus Christ. This guy's been doing this for years. But paperwork wasn't enough. They needed Cullen to speak. Charles Cullen sits across from detectives Tim Braun and Danny Baldwin. His hands are calm. His eyes are heavy. He doesn't ask for a lawyer. He didn't look like a killer, but he looked finished. Florian Gohl, Michael Strenko, Eliza Trammell, Carol Weinstein, John Devine. Cullen doesn't react until Baldwin says, "We already know you did it. We just want to know how many." Silence. Then Cullen sighs. "You wouldn't believe me. Try us." He looks up and says it. "At least 30. Maybe more. I don't know. Maybe 200. Maybe 4. He had been killing for 16 years, and he couldn't remember them all. Cullen signs a statement. He explains how he chose patients who were vulnerable, targeted ones he believed were suffering, sometimes chose victims at random, switched 4 bags with digoxin or insulin, left no trace, just time-delayed death. Cullen's tone never rises. He corrects dates like he's reciting chores. "No, not her. She died on the 4th, not the 6th. I used insulin that night, not digoxin. He was a good guy. I almost didn't do it." There was no rage, no sorrow, just numbers and routine. One detective asked the central question. "Why, Charles, why did you kill them?" He shrugs. To end their suffering, to quiet things down. But in later testimony, he admits something else. "Sometimes I just couldn't stop." And maybe that's the truth. Not mercy, just compulsion with a name tag. Somerset County Courthouse, New Jersey. The courtroom is packed. Reporters, victim families, nurses, hospital representatives. Charles Cullen is led in wearing an orange jumpsuit. He does not look at the crowd. He stares at the floor. He admitted to killing over 40 people, but no one really knows how many. Not even him. He pleads guilty to 29 murders and 6 attempted murders. As part of the deal, he avoids the death penalty in exchange for full cooperation in identifying victims. He agrees, but some victims he can't remember. Others he refuses to name. No tears, no reaction. Just a man made of stillness, and behind him a wake of ghosts. Hospital administrators are questioned by press. Did you know he was suspected of prior deaths? Why did you recommend him to another facility? Why wasn't this reported to law enforcement? Answers are vague. No direct evidence. Personnel privacy. Internal concerns handled administratively. The hospitals didn't inject anyone, but they opened the doors and walked away. It won't bring them back, he says. Cullen is sentenced. 11 consecutive life sentences. Eligibility for parole? Never. He nods once when it's read aloud. He will die in New Jersey State Prison. Charles Cullen wasn't stopped by oversight. He was stopped by someone finally refusing to stay quiet. After 16 years. After hundreds of deaths. After it was already too late. New Jersey State Prison, 2024. Charles Cullen sits in a windowless cell. He reads fiction. He does not grant interviews. He refused to appear in Netflix's 2022 film The Good Nurse, based on the real nurse who turned him in, Amy Loughren. He has no visitors, no statements, no remorse. He became exactly what he was always trying to be. Unseen. The hospitals left behind. One by one, the 10 hospitals he worked at issued vague press releases. Some apologized. Some denied wrongdoing. All claimed there was no evidence of criminal activity at the time. But none explained why his suspicious behavior wasn't reported, why he kept getting hired, why no one warned the next hospital. Cullen didn't just slip through the cracks. He was carried through them. 2022, Amy Loughren speaks publicly. She was a nurse who suspected him at Somerset, who wore a wire, who helped the detectives. She now speaks at medical schools. He didn't hide. He was right beside us. We looked at him every day, and we still miss him. Hospitals today. After Cullen's case, many hospitals updated protocols, tighter medication tracking, mandatory reporting laws, enhanced death review committees. But still, nurses report being discouraged from raising concerns. Administrators avoid police unless they have to. Privacy policies still protect staff over patients. And that's the real horror, that the system didn't break. It worked exactly as designed. Last image, dim hospital hallway, for bags hanging, machines blinking. One nurse pauses and watches a monitor. Charles Cullen killed at least 29 people, maybe hundreds. And every time he walked into a new hospital, someone shook his hand. How many more are still shaking hands? Charles Edmund Cullen is born, the youngest of 8 children, an unplanned baby. His father, a bus driver, dies when Charles is just 7 months old. The family struggles. By age 9, Charles has already tried his first overdose, drinking chemical from beneath the sink. Some killers snap. Charles simmered. His mother drives him to school. They argue. She drops him off. That night, she dies in a car crash. His toll days later. At the hospital, he asks to see her body. They say it's already cremated. He never says goodbye. That's the last person Charles ever claimed to love. Everyone else was a replacement. Cullen enlists in the U.S. Navy. He fails out of nuclear tech school. Gets assigned to low-level duties aboard a submarine. Crewmates find him, sleeping under missile tubes, talking to himself, injecting cleaning fluids into his arm. He attempts suicide again. His discharged. He failed upward. The next time he wore a uniform, it had a stethoscope. Nursing school, Mountainside Hospital, New Jersey, 1986. Cullen excels academically. He's quiet, disciplined, keeps to himself. No real friends. No record of aggression. He graduates top of his class. He had no record. And in healthcare, that's all it takes to get close to a beating heart. Charles Cullen didn't hide his crimes. He committed them in rooms with open doors. The only thing darker than what he did was how many people suspected and stayed quiet. Warren Hospital Internal Report. A nurse files concern. Cullen entered room 302 during my lunch break. He had no reason to be there. Patient coded within the hour. Her manager says, don't accuse a colleague without proof. The note is filed and buried. Eastern Hospital Pharmacy audit. Cullen withdraws digoxin 11x more often than other nurses. No waste logs match. No cross-assigned patients. Nurses begin joking. Don't let Charlie draw your meds. A report is generated. It makes it to HR. They call him in. He says, I make mistakes. I'll try to be more careful. Case closed. He used the system like a syringe. Slip it in. Deliver death. Leave no fingerprint. Lehigh Valley Hospital, 1999. A nurse confronts Cullen directly. You were in that room. They weren't even assigned to you. He responds, You think I'm a killer? File a report then. She does. She's called aggressive. She's transferred to a different unit. The people who spoke out weren't promoted. They were silenced. Hospital legal meeting, 2001. Board member. Do we have confirmation that has done anything criminal? Risk manager. Not without an autopsy. And we don't recommend one. Why not? Liability. They let Cullen resign. With a clean reference. Every resignation was a reset, a new hospital, a new hallway, a new chance to kill. Charles Cullen left death behind. But he also left witnesses. People who tried to stop him. People who were ignored. People who still wake up thinking, what if I had screamed louder? Amy Loughren, night nurse at Somerset Medical Center, 2003. She worked beside Cullen. She shared night shifts, laughed at his dry jokes, called him Charlie. Until the pharmacy flagged medication irregularities. They came to her, quietly, and asked, Watch him. Report what you see. She said yes. Patients he wasn't assigned to. Drugs never administered. Patterns too precise to ignore. Amy didn't just find numbers. She found the map of a killer, hiding inside her hospital. Amy agrees to wear wire. Meets Cullen at a diner. She hides her trembling hands. Have you hurt people? She asks. He answers. Let's not get into that here. The recording is used to charge him. She ended what 10 hospitals couldn't. She ended his story. Sister of Father Florian Gohl, killed 2003. She stands in a church basement holding a worn prayer card. He wasn't sick. He was recovering, and that man killed him for no reason. She keeps the hospital bills, the chart, the last voicemail. He was supposed to come home the next day. She was stable. She told me she loved me. She was gone 6 hours later. Her voice cracks. The hospital said it was a fluke. They knew. Cullen didn't just kill patients. He killed last words. He killed goodbyes. Charles Cullen murdered in hospitals. But he was built by institutions. A journalist asks, what stops the next Cullen? A hospital compliance officer replies, our protocols have evolved. We're more transparent. Staff is trained to report unusual patterns. But a nurse in the audience speaks up. I reported patterns. I was told to shut up. The system hasn't changed. It's just learned better ways to cover itself. Medical Journal study published in The Lancet, 2020. Approximately 15% of suspicious hospital deaths are not investigated beyond basic chart review. Less than 3% involve toxicology panels. It's signed by former ER physicians. He didn't hack the system. He understood it. He's 64, still serving 11 consecutive life terms. He no longer speaks to media. In his last known statement, 2013, he wrote, I couldn't stop. I wanted to, but something kept pulling me back. It was easier to kill than to feel. In a side garden behind the hospital, there's a simple plaque for the patients we lost, whose names were never entered, whose deaths were never questioned, and who trusted us okay. Below it, a list of 28 names, identified Cullen victims. Some are still unknown. Some were cremated before toxicology. Some were never linked. He was the one with the needle, but they were the ones who handed it back. Charles Cullen is behind bars, but the doors that let him in are still wide open. His face is gone from the news, but his echo still moves through 4 tubes. And unasked questions. A young nurse flips through hospital orientation documents. She pauses at a page titled, The Cullen Clause, Medication Accountability Policy. Her supervisor explains, every time we log a drug, every time we double-check a dose, it's because of him. The photo beside her shows a frail man smiling in bed. Her father died 2001. They said it was natural, but I remember. He told me something was wrong with the nurse. She doesn't have proof, only grief. Some families get closure. Some get silence. Most get neither. A medical school auditorium. A professor speaks. There are two kinds of killers in medicine. The one who snaps, and the one who whispers. Cullen whispered for 16 years. Slides show digoxin levels, insulin charts, photos of victims, every face asleep, a courtroom transcript. Paper trembles as it's read. I want to say I'm sorry. I tried to stop, but the quiet was louder. Hospitals are made of people, but they are powered by trust. Charles Cullen was a parasite, but he fed on a system that never flinched. And even now, in the soft beep of monitors, his shadow still lingers.